So turn with me to page 73 in your workbooks. We're going to learn about transportation. So we know that transportation is basically something that gets you from one place to the other. But how do we interact with our environment through transportation? Well, let's find out. So people cut down trees and grade, which means flatten. So it's telling me my definition right there. Land to build roads. Now you have probably seen on the interstate, and I'll put a picture on PLP for you. When you're going on the interstate in Tennessee, you may notice to your side what looks like a large rock formation. Well, that's because in order to make the Tennessee roads not going up and down hills constantly, they cut through those hills. So that is what they had to do in order for people to be able to transport goods and materials through that area. So people build bridges and tunnels to get past things in their way. People build canals so boats can travel where there was no waterway before. So we saw that canal in Alabama that helped ships go from Tennessee to Alabama. People also dig underground tunnels and build elevated platforms for subway transportation in big cities. This helps out a lot. People also use natural resources to provide the fuel that makes transportation move. So there are lots of natural resources that are used to provide fuel. So let's go ahead and list some of them. So before, they used to use a lot of coal. Nowadays, coal isn't used as much. We have figured out its negative impact on the environment. They also use natural gas, and that is still being used a lot today. But more recently, we can use wind power, solar power, all of those kinds of powers in order to generate electricity, which can then be used to power certain things. So if you have an electric car, it uses electricity. However, most power plants do not use a good environmentally friendly resource in order to make that electricity. So if you have an electric car and you have a solar panel, however, that will definitely help out your environmental impact on the world. So anyway, there are different types of fuel that can provide transportation to be able to move. So let's go ahead and read this about, it looks like it's about trains. 200 years ago, people built much of the railroad track that connects places across the United States. People cut down trees to clear land and drain wetlands. So what did they do to their environment? Well, they cut down trees. Now, hopefully they use those trees to construct the railroads, and we're actually about to read that. Then they used the lumber from the trees they cut to make wooden ties to support the railroad tracks. So at least they didn't waste it. Back then, they also burned wood as fuel to power the trains. So it looks like they didn't just use coal, they also used wood to burn as fuel. So we'll go ahead and add that as well. Now, today, trains transport goods across the country along many of the routes built long ago. So those railroad tracks were very important in delivering goods across the country. And nowadays we use them as well, just not maybe as much because we have other methods of transportation such as airplanes. We have big ships that can carry things all across the world. And we have many other modes of transportation as well.